Hi folks, how the devil are you? It's so good to be out again. I'm doing an old familiar path this time, Broadbottom to Marple Bridge, along the north side of the river, as opposed to the last video that you saw where I did the south side. But that was recorded some months ago now, so this is my first proper outing apart from the odd occasional canal walk into the countryside. And wow, how things have progressed. So many plants and flowers, and the trees are in full bloom, and of course we're approaching autumn now, so everything's so verdant and green, and can barely see over the hedgerows into the fields now. That's how things have come on such since my last outing. So it's good to be out, and let's see what happens today. Two very friendly female mallards actually came over to see me. Maybe they're used to being fed or something. This is the River Ethero, and first glimpse of the river today, and then we're going to go up to the top of the hill and then back down to the country park, to where the Ethero meets the Goit. Wow, look at these friendly little fellows. I'm gonna get my some food out. They're gonna come say hello. Wow, aren't they tame? Aren't they tame? Maybe because you're used to getting fed at Ethero Country Park or something. Maybe that's the case. Beautiful feathers. Even the females just tucked away there under the wings. That beautiful purple strike. Wow. Aren't you friendly? Hello. Hello. I think this is the closest I've ever been to mallards of their own volition. Yeah. Yeah. Can get it. Yeah. Aren't you lovely? Some very posh houses around here. Look like some of them are new but made out of the same stone as the old ones. This one here I think is called Lower Barn, so presumably they were all farm buildings or a little hamlet of some kind at one point. And the hill continues up, although I haven't ventured up there. I presume that the big house, if there is one, is up there. But you know, you live in a affluent area or a posh old building when even your greenhouse has stained glass windows. So I've come from Hodgefold, must go up the path to Great Wood at some point, but just the familiar route today. I'm going to take the one that says backward, up a very nice enchanted little forest with a stream running through it, and hopefully up to the top of the hill. Onward ho, as nobody says. joyous day it's turned out to be. Certainly chose the right day of my day off, days off, day whatever, to come out and make the most of it. But whew, I'm out of breath. I'm out of my fitness level has dropped. Last few months working in a pub, being tempted to stay behind afterwards and you know, drink. You get a free staff drink and then to add one more to it and one more to it. So it's good for me mentally and physically both to be out here and enjoying this amazing day. Far off in the distance down there you can see a little cluster of buildings, which is Broadbottom, where I came from. Over in the distance, before the very far hills, you can see a very dark clump of woodland, a wooded hill, if you like, which I think is what I've called Friar Tuck Hill. You can see the two stands of pine trees as it goes up into the quarry on the other walk that I go on. And, you know, all very familiar places, but several miles apart. And what a plethora of greens we have out now that we're in almost mid to late summer. Right, last log up this really steep bit of hill to the pylons, and I'll catch up with you then. Quite surprised actually how much of this plant I've seen on this walk. I've seen glimpses of it before, and it's unusual because of the shape of the flower, obviously, and it's a mixture of white and pink and in between flowers. This is Himalayan balsam. I think it was originally an invasive species, and it's apparently now very difficult to get rid of, and I think it's illegal to import it or export it. However, it does have its uses. Apparently you can eat the stems and the leaves when they're tender, but they do need to be cooked because they contain some kind of oxalate, which needs to be broken down by cooking. The petals on the flowers can apparently be used in jams, and the seeds are also used as an alternative to people with nut allergies, to replace things like ground almonds. So quite a useful plant. Came up, instead of going straight up directly up the hill to the top and the pylons this time, I thought I'd follow the road, seeing as it looks like it goes in roughly the same direction. And I'm glad I did, just to get a different perspective. Here's another sign, so now I'm heading towards Wernthlow Country Park via the golf course and Brabbins Park eventually, of course, in Marple Bridge. And another little sign there for backward, which is where I've just come from. So maybe that'll be a nice little trek back at some point in the future, but maybe not today. It looks a little bit overgrown. Wait till autumn perhaps, when the plants and plants and vegetation, that's the word I'm looking for, have died back a bit. But today, new continuum up this first. It's like I said in previous videos. Oh look, blackberries starting to come out. Not all of them black yet. In fact, they don't look too appetizing right now. Maybe they need a bit more water and a bit more sun. But first signs that autumn is on the way. And yeah, so trying a little diversion to my normal route. It's always good, fresh, discover new things, with the added bonus that the overall walk is a normal one. Shut up waffling. So I've just discovered another little path that said Werneth Low Country Park. So up towards where those horses are up there, that's where the road continues. And obviously it then bends round to the familiar path, well the road actually, that continues past the pylons at the top there that you can see. So rather than slog all the way up there and then all the way back down again, in my slightly unfit state, I thought I'd see where this footpath leads. I've got a funny feeling it's going to bring me out about halfway down past the golf course, which will be fantastic and save me some time, save me some effort, and save me some lung capacity. So nice little jaunt across the fields here. And do you know what? I don't think I'll even have to do much colour grading when I edit this video. Everything is just so verdant, luscious, green and full of life. Well, I did manage to indeed escape having to go all the way up to the top of the pylons at the top of the hill there, you can see behind me, and the path did indeed come out on this little track that now leads down to farm and then woodland and then Ethro Country Park, which I'm familiar with. But just look at the vista behind me. Such a glorious day, and you know, despite there being some cloud in the sky, you can just see everything for miles around. This is what I need to keep reminding myself. This is why I come on these walks, or one of the reasons anyway, just to see that, you know, nothing beats that, being out actually in the land that we live in instead of cooped up in the towns and cities that we just become trapped in. Sat watching the TV. This is what we should be doing. Getting back to nature, finding out what you can eat, what you can't eat, looking at the wildlife and the insects. I mean, just that little, just a little meeting that I had with those ducks earlier, it just warms your heart. It just makes you feel glad to be alive. I've said that before, but you know, we can be at one with nature. If everything does go tits up in the next few years or the next few decades, because of the supposed global warming or because of nuclear bombs or because of diseases ravishing the planet, man-made or otherwise, you know, this is where we need to be, surviving, becoming one with the land, because we do live in a beautiful place. So a final glance at the Ethro Valley from Broadbottom that I've just negotiated. And what a beautiful wooded valley it is, and it's a shame in a way that you can't get down closer to the river in more places, but again, maybe that's a good thing too, you know. It will encourage wildlife if people can't get down there, otters and beavers and kingfishers and all sorts of other wildlife and aquatic life. And the wooded side on the other side, the south side of the river, as I found out last time, all the way down. And it's only when you just come over the brow of this hill, really, which probably it doesn't get picked up by this phone camera, and you see just the valley, the plateau that Manchester sits in on the other side. The end of the Goyt Valley over there with the hills in the far distance. The River Goyt, of course, which we're going to meet before too long as we descend into the valley. And it makes you realise, we complain about global warming and overpopulation in Britain. But just look at that. As far as my eye can pick out, almost all the way into the distance is just thousands of shades of green, different shapes and sizes. The number of red, brown buildings that you can see and glinting windows as you look out into the distance onto the horizon is very minimal. So we are very lucky, and I don't think most of us make the most of it, if you know what I mean. And that's not meant as a criticism at all, because I've been just as guilty of that in my life as anybody else. I've lived in Manchester for 24 years or something like that, and it's only in the last few years, and thanks to lockdown, really, you know, and coronavirus, that I've really begun to explore the places that are just on my doorstep and appreciate them to their fullest. Finally made it down to the forest that leads down to the back down to the river and Nethrow Country Park. Again, this is a lovely enchanted forest, but it looks so different in the summer. All of the brambles and the ferns and you know, the ground cover is just phenomenal. I can barely recognise which path to take, to be honest with you. I know roughly which direction I'm going in, but yeah, I mean, it's good to see. I've just seen a little hut up ahead that indicates that I'm going on the right path, and it has been, although it's lovely and beautiful weather today, it has been raining, so I'm going steady with my feet because there are quite a few slippery patches. Don't want to end up breaking a leg on my first day out for ages. Slightly humid, could do with a slight breeze, but I'm not complaining because what a wonderful day it's turning out to be, and I can't wait for the next one. And just check my legs for ticks because I came through all that long grass. Seems okay, and here we are on the path, and I think we turn right. Yeah, here we go. This is where all the wild garlic was last time I came. That's probably died off now, or it's certainly not tender enough to eat. So nice gentle stroll through this forest. You can see this path has been recently re-tarmacked as well, which is good obviously for emergency services and stuff, to get down to the country park in case anything goes wrong, and service vehicles, I would imagine, you know, to do with the forest or the country park. and just makes it easier for us, people like us too, and maybe even my mum, if she comes here in her wheelchair. Or at least for the people pushing her, that is. Been meaning to come and sit on this bench for ages, but I've never actually had the opportunity because somebody else has always been sat here. So, making the most of the opportunity today, and it's good to sit down, take the weight off my feet, and I'm going to have a nice cup of tea, and I think some giggling girls just went past. Cheers everyone, so nice having a cup of tea after quite a strenuous uphill. And although I've been glad I brought obviously a litre and a bit of water with me, which I've had a fair glug of, because you do need to replace your liquids, it's also very nice on a walk to just then take the weight off your feet for a minute, especially when you've got more than halfway, and crack open the flask. Nice cup of tea, bit of milk, some honey, just that taste and the energy it gives you. Spurs you on for the next bit, and you never know, the pub might be open for a nice quick pint before I come home. Marple Bridge, what was it called, the Norfolk Arms? Might try there again. If you remember last time, I actually sat down in the sun, 2 minutes later it was pissing down, but take what you can get. Anyway, might speak to you before then. I might speak to you before then. It's funny, I was just thinking about the walk that I've done today and my almost a bit of trepidation before I left. Because it's been such a long time since I came on a walk, weeks or months maybe, actually a walk of this magnitude anyway. Not that this is very far by any means, 6 miles, 7 miles maybe. But rooting around on the computer this morning on Google Maps, trying to work out which part of the countryside am I going to go to. Probably the Peak District, because that's the closest to get to on the train. As much as I'd like to go to the beach and explore cliffs and pebbly beaches and stuff like that, or even just have fish and chips on a sandy beach. The Lake District also appeals to me, and Wales of course, but these are expensive train journeys away and take a long time to get there, and probably would suit staying overnight better, which will come in future, I'm sure, as I build my confidence up. But taking a little bit of time away from walking does it's like a metaphor for my life, really, over the last decade or so. Building up the confidence to do something, and then deciding on a course of action. And I've mentioned this, that this has been a common thread, I suppose, in previous videos. Do you go somewhere new, or do you stay with what's familiar? Do you stay in your flat and play computer games or watch the TV because that's familiar and it's a routine and you're used to it and it's comforting, and it has boundaries that you know how to behave within? Or do you push the boat out and try something new? And obviously I'm not going to jump on a plane tomorrow and go and do the Appalachian Trail, but you've got to take baby steps. I did the south of this river a few months ago, and since then not really much apart from the odd canal walk. And so that that leads up to this morning, looking at Google Maps on the computer, deciding which train journey I was going to get, which route I was going to take. Was I going to do a 10-mile kind of jaunt or a 5-mile kind of jaunt? All of these things that you need to take into consideration, and as you're doing that, time's ticking past. But I'm glad in the end that I decided to do a familiar route that's not too long, and as my confidence grew throughout the walk, I found that I did end up taking a couple of different roads, a couple of different paths, and only minor things, minor adjustments to my normal route, but it's good. It gives you confidence. You think, oh yeah, that does join up with that bit, and you know, just go off the beaten track or the familiar track just a little bit each time, and that's how you build your confidence up on a walk and in life in general. So yeah, a good metaphor, and I find that my life is full of these, and walking does give you the opportunity to contemplate these matters and think about it. It's beautiful here. It's very peaceful, birds twittering, grasshoppers, the occasional fall of a leaf from a tree, and over halfway, so the bittersweet sadness of knowing that the end will be soon. Anyway, looking forward to a pint. Doesn't look very appetizing. That looks like an ear, and its counterpart further up doesn't look very appetizing at all. That's the funny thing about fungi. It could be highly toxic or deliciously edible. Not going to find out. As we come to the end of the forest, and now we can just about hear the sound of the weir ahead and the mill ponds. Got nothing for you, sorry chaps. There'll be plenty of people that have. Show me your arse, will you? So through a country park, down a country lane, and down to one of my favourite places to be. The River Goit, and just a short way down this path, once again I'm back at that little beach where the Etherow and the Goit converge and continue heading west. Much more overgrown now than it was. I don't know if I can get down to the beach without stinging myself to death. Not sure. I'm also concerned about ticks. I don't think I brought my tick tweezers with me. Wow, and the river does seem higher than normal. It's surprising. I mean, after the rain yesterday, maybe the beaches were one, and now they are two. Let's try down this way. No, I don't think so. Maybe. Let's try Yeah, the water is higher than normal. Well, I made it down to the one of the two beaches. This used to continue over to the one you can see over there. So maybe the extra rain has made the river higher than normal. Rivers do change their course, of course, over the course of time. They do change their course, of course, over the course of time. Too many courses there, of course. I'll just have a quick look on this one. But there, the beach did go out much further. I'll have a little route around anyway, see what I can find. I don't know if you remember, but this is the one where I found the strange jawbone with tooth holes or something like that. I'm still waiting to hear back from the science people, the museum and such, as to what that actually is. Let's have a look. Well, I know there's lots of undergrowth now, which wasn't there before, but I'm pretty sure that this river has changed its course. The rapids under the bridge seem to be more ferocious than they were before. The river is higher. There's a sandy spit over there where it was all just pebbles before. It certainly has, you know, water is a powerful thing, and it does chop and change obviously quite regularly. Whether it goes back to what it used to be, I don't know. Not found much, but you can just see under the water there's some goggles. I hope the owner didn't go floating off downstream. Much narrower spit of land to look at, but it's just lovely being down by the river anyway. You know, I'm half tempted to strip off and have a little bathe. But there's probably too many people watching. Yeah, I don't think I want to try and get through to that bit over there, even with paddling. The water is quite cold, it's got quite a nip to it. Well, I persevered and I have made it round to where the two rivers meet. Just about see on the right hand side there the Etero as it comes down, and the two rivers continue together. And I think my theory was right. You can see maybe by the flattened grass, if you can see that on the camera, the flattened grass that's around here, it's just obvious that the river has actually been up this high. So maybe during the heavy thunderstorms that we had a week or so ago, it really does come this high up, and that's what's caused the change in the border of the river. A couple of things I've just noticed here. I don't know if I can get far enough out without going for Burton. Just down here in the river, can you see that? It's the second one I've found in a couple of minutes. Is that a piece of slag metal? Aluminium, maybe? It's not very heavy. It's the second one I've found in a couple of minutes. Here's the other one. Definitely metal. Weird. Don't think it'll be anything precious like silver. Certainly doesn't look like gold. Maybe aluminium. Similar to that, perhaps, which I'm going to pick up and take home with me, or at least find the nearest bin. Oh, almost at the end now of a wonderful day. Just skirting the edges of Brabbins Park as it follows the river Etero upstream. When I came down here last time, there were plenty of beaches, which puts more credence to my theory that the river is higher than it was. So I thought there'd be a few more beaches for me to get down and rummage around, but it's not the case. So I'm going to cut through the park now Hopefully the Norfolk Arms is open for a welcome pint before my journey home. And out of breath. And I look forward to coming back the next time. And if I'm honest, I'm hoping that the next time will be more like autumn, halfway through autumn perhaps, where some of the foliage has died back and there's more to see, and more little routes accessible without getting stung by nettles every 2 meters. But it's been great to get out again. I can't wait to do the next one, and I'm sure next time it's going to be something a bit more substantial. I'm looking forward to do the Buxton to Whaley Bridge route of the Great Valley again soon. And thanks for watching. If you enjoy the videos that I make, please like them. If you don't, put a dislike. If you have anything to say, anything to add, any questions to ask, please put them in the comments down below. It would be really nice to interact with my very small audience. And if you haven't already, think about subscribing if you're, as I am, looking forward to the next excursion. Right, time for a beer. See you soon.